All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. It's that time of the week, folks. My weekly picks in the world of the National Football League, and it's the final weekend of the regular season. Some things have been decided as far as the postseason picture goes, while some things still have to be ironed out. But with that said, we've got a pair of games on tap for tomorrow, as well as a slew of games throughout Sunday. And with that said, here are my picks for week number 18 in this NFL season. You're going to have the 13-3 Kansas City Chiefs traveling to take on the 6-10 Las Vegas Raiders. Kansas City comes into this contest favored by 9 points over their longtime AFC West rivals, and they are also looking to get their second 14-win season in the last 3 years. You look at how Patrick Mahomes and this offense are playing, they're very fluid. The defense has been taking on some water in the last couple of weeks for Kansas City. But make no mistake about it, you got the Chiefs defense going up against Jarrett Stidham and this Raiders offense. I think that is tailor made for Kansas City to be able to get back on track. And with that said, I'm going to take the Chiefs to win big in Vegas by the score of 34-20. Now, on Saturday night, Duval County will be rocking as you have the 8-8 Jacksonville Jaguars hosting the 7-9 Tennessee Titans with the AFC South title on the line. And about 6 weeks ago, if you had told anybody that this would be the case, they probably would have looked at you like you were crazy. But Jacksonville, this young Jacksonville team, has begun to figure it out, while the Titans have come apart at the seams, most notably due to the injuries that they have at the quarterback position. Jacksonville went to Nashville and dominated the Titans a couple of weeks ago. And I think from that point, as well as the Jaguars' comeback win at home versus the Dallas Cowboys, this team is believing right now. Trevor Lawrence is starting to show why he was the first overall pick of the draft in 2021. Credit to Doug Peterson with what he has done with this young squad. And you look at it right now, the Titans, they're going to need their defense. They're going to need some special teams to get it done in this game, because I expect this Jags defense to try to stack the box in order to slow down Derrick Henry and dare Tennessee to beat them passing. The Titans passing game has been a struggle all season long. 64 degrees in Jacksonville tomorrow night, along with some rain, but I don't think it's going to dampen the spirits of the folks in Northern Florida, because they came to see their Jags win. And I think Jacksonville gets it done with the 31-17 win. Now, moving along to Sunday, you're going to have the 8-8 Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to take on the 6-10 Atlanta Falcons. Now, Atlanta comes into this contest favored by 4 points, and for good reason. Tampa Bay was able to wrap up the NFC South title last week with a comeback win at home against the Carolina Panthers, and I expect the Bucks to rest most of their key players in this contest with Wild Card Weekend right around the corner. For Atlanta, they are looking to finish on a strong note, and I think they take advantage of Tampa Bay resting some of their players. And I'm going to take the Falcons at home by the score of 27-24. Now, in Orchard Park, it is going to be extremely emotional, as you're going to have the Buffalo Bills hosting the New England Patriots. Now, we all know what went down on Monday night when the Bills played the Bengals, with the horrific uh, situation involving Damar Hamlin. And thank goodness that that young man is getting, his health, his health has really improved in the last couple of days. And I think that is a beacon of light, because obviously that was an immensely scary situation. And, you just wish him and his family and his loved ones and everybody involved truly the best for that situation. And the Buffalo community has, shown their support towards Damar Hamlin, his family, and the Buffalo Bills as a whole, as the folks in Western New York always do. And then the folks in Cincinnati as well have, been extremely supportive of this. So you definitely wish that young man help as he continues to recover. And for the Bills, They have to go out there and play a game. And I know that their teammate is going to be on their mind. I know that he is on the mind of that entire community in Buffalo, and they're going to show support, and rightfully so, Sunday afternoon when their beloved Bills take the field. A lot's on the line for Buffalo. As you know, they want to be one of the top teams in the AFC, of course, and then they're facing their division rivals in the New England Patriots, who the Patriots know if they win this contest, they themselves are postseason bound. With the emotion, Buffalo obviously wants to use that as a positive. They come into this game favored by 7 points, and I'm looking at this Bills defense. How are they going to respond to this Patriots offense, which has shown a little bit at times, but they have not been consistent? And this Buffalo offense, what are they going to do against this New England defense? But I will say this. In the last couple of years, Buffalo has now become the big dog in the AFC East, and they've been doing to the Patriots what the Patriots have been doing to everybody else for about 2 decades. And I think that trend continues on Sunday afternoon because I'm going to take Buffalo at home by the score of 34-19. Now you're going to have the 12-4 Minnesota Vikings traveling to the Windy City to take on the 3-13 Chicago Bears. Minnesota comes into this contest favored by 6 points, and they also want to get back on track as they need to get some momentum going for themselves on a positive note heading into the postseason. Now, we saw Minnesota get embarrassed last week at Lambeau, courtesy of the Green Bay Packers. And with that, they no longer control their destiny in regards to getting the number 2 seed. They still can get the 2 seed, but of course, they're going to need San Francisco to lose on Sunday. But make no mistake about it, the Vikings got to get back on track. Kirk Cousins has to play better than he did against Green Bay. And I think it's tailor made for him in this contest as he's going up against a very bad Chicago Bears defense. I think Minnesota goes out there and takes care of their business. And because of that, I'm going to take the Vikings to win on Sunday by the score of 31-16. Now, the AFC North title is on the line when the Baltimore Ravens travel to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati comes into this contest favored by 9 points. And just like it is for the Bills when they host the Patriots, I know that the Bengals going to be playing with heavy hearts and heavy emotions after the events of Monday night. But I look at this Cincinnati team. Joe Burrow is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, and he's ascended to that level in a very quick period of time. I love the way the Bengals team is playing right now, and I think they're going to take advantage of Tyler Huntley and company in this contest. And because of that, I am going to take the Bengals to win at home by the score of 24-17. Now, in a battle which is all about draft position, you got the 2-13-1 Houston Texans traveling to take on the 4-11-1 Indianapolis Colts. A loss here by the Texans would make them the ultimate winner, of course, because they would get themselves the number one pick. And you have two teams right here where a lot of things are going to be changed by this time next year. Most notably, I don't expect either one of these head coaches. Of course, Jeff Saturday is the interim head coach, and then Lovie Smith is the head coach of the Texans. I don't expect either one of these men to be leading their respective teams next year. So it's one of those quote unquote lame duck situations, but also you got guys going out there and competing for jobs and roster spots and maybe even looks from other teams. This contest right here, I don't think is going to be for the faint of heart. The over under is 38. We saw it in week number one when these two teams played, and it wasn't pretty on offense then. Somebody has to win this game, maybe a big special teams play, maybe a big defensive play. But nonetheless, I am going to take Indianapolis to win at home by the score of 17-16. Now, in South Florida, you're going to have the 7-9 New York Jets clashing with the 8-8 Miami Dolphins. Now, the Jets have been eliminated from postseason contention, but wouldn't they love it to add to the woes of the Dolphins? I mean, you think about it. 5 weeks ago, Miami was 8-3. They were right there with Buffalo for the top spot in the AFC East. That tough 3 game road trip, they never were able to recover from it. The Christmas Day loss at home to the Green Bay Packers, the second concussion of the season to Tua Tagovailoa. We saw Teddy Bridgewater get injured in relief last week against the Patriots, and now Miami has to rely on rookie quarterback Skylar Thompson to try to get it done. On the flip side, for the Jets, obviously they've had their fair share of quarterback woes and then some, which has now led to head coach Robert Saleh going back to veteran Joe Flacco uh, at quarterback in this contest. This is another game right here where both teams have talent at the skill positions on offense, but of course the questions are going to come from the quarterback position. I also look at the defenses in this one. Which defense is going to step up and make a play? Because this is one of those contests here. I think it's going to come down to defense, and I think it's going to come down to special teams. But I think the Jets, with everything that's gone against them in recent weeks, I think they want to try to turn things around and finish on a positive note and head into next season. And I think Gang Green gets it done. I'm going to take the Jets on the road in this one by the score of 20-13. Now, in a battle of teams that are looking to end the season on a positive note, you got the 6-10 Carolina Panthers traveling to take on the 7-9 New Orleans Saints. Both of these teams have had their opportunities in recent weeks to win the NFC South, most notably the Carolina Panthers. Both of these teams have something in common. They blew double digit leads, or pardon me, late leads rather, in the fourth quarter on the road to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And had either one of these teams won that contest against the Bucks, things would be drastically different right now for both of them. I look at both of these defenses. They've been playing good, especially the Saints defense coming down the stretch. And this is going to be one of those games where, you know what, which team is going to protect the ball? Steve Wilks, I think he doesn't get enough credit for the job that he has done as the interim head coach of the Carolina Panthers following Matt Rule. Maybe he gets a look at the head coaching position next year. We got to wait and see. So obviously he wants to finish on a positive note. Same thing can be said for the Saints as far as trying to get this thing righted heading into next season. But when it's all said and done, I'm going to take New Orleans at home by the score of 24-20. Now in Pittsburgh, you're going to have the 8-8 Steelers hosting the 7-9 Browns. And don't look now, but the Steelers, they've been playing some good ball lately. And most notably, their offense is starting to get it going in order to complement this defense. And the Steelers can still make the playoffs. They need some help. Miami's got to lose. And then New England has to lose as well. Both possibilities. And the Steelers can be postseason bound. Mike Tomlin has done a good job in keeping the ship righted this season for Pittsburgh. And now, you look at this team offensively with young quarterback Kenny Pickett. He's starting to figure it out. The Steelers are the Steelers. They're running the football effectively with Najee Harris. And most importantly, you look at this defense. You think about the stars on that side of the ball for Pittsburgh: Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, who's playing through injury, and of course, Minkah Fitzpatrick on that back line. Now, with that said, the Browns are not going to be any pushovers. They've been playing some good ball. They're starting to get their rhythm with Deshaun Watson, the quarterback. Nick Chubb continues to run the football effectively. And I look at this Browns defense. What are they going to do to this Pittsburgh offense? The over under in this one is 40. Pittsburgh comes in as a 2.5 point favorite at home. It's going to be a tight one throughout, but I'm going to take the Steelers at home by the score of 20-17. Now you got the 10-6 Los Angeles Chargers traveling to take on the 4-12 Denver Broncos. And if ever there was a team that needed to get to the finish line for this season, it's the Denver Broncos. This has been a disaster from the word go. And on the flip side for the Chargers, they want to keep the momentum going for them, as I feel that this is a team that can do some damage in the postseason, especially now that they're getting healthier. Remember, they just got Joey Bosa back, and now you have him to complement Khalil Mack as far as the edge rushing goes, and that's going to be a problem for a lot of teams in the postseason. Justin Herbert, this kid right now, he is showing why he's the real deal, and now he's going to get an opportunity to do it on the postseason stage. And first, they take care of Denver and get some more momentum going into the postseason. I'm going to take the Lightning Bolts on the road in this one by the score of 30-19. Now, another team that definitely needs to go get some momentum for themselves heading into the playoffs, the Philadelphia Eagles. A couple weeks ago, the Eagles looked like, okay, they were going to just finish through the regular season like gangbusters. They were 13-1. Then, of course, the injury to quarterback Jalen Hurts. Now Hurts has missed the last two games, and unfortunately for the Eagles, they've lost those two games. But now Hurts is expected to be back. And then on top of that, they're facing a Giants team that not only did they mop the floor with a couple of weeks ago, but also the Giants clinched a playoff spot last week and they're locked into the sixth spot, which means I don't expect the Giants to have their key guys out there, such as Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Kayvon Thibodeau, you name it. It's going to be a scenario where they're going to be resting, and I think the Eagles take advantage of it because Philly knows that guess what? They still need to win in order to wrap up home field advantage throughout in the NFC, get the first round bye, and get everybody fully healthy for their postseason run. And I think the Eagles do that. And I think Philly gets the 34-13 win at home. Eric B. Daly, good evening, and how are you? Thank you for tuning in. And you're saying that the Steelers are going to shock the world in the playoffs. They will make the AFC Championship game. I'll tell you like this, and I don't know if anything that you've seen or listened to from me in a couple of weeks, in the last couple of weeks, but I will say this. I talked about this about a week and a half ago. The AFC playoffs is going to be a bloodbath. And that was actually the title of the segment. And I say that because you look at some of these teams that are in the mix, obviously Buffalo, and they're playing with a lot of emotion right now. But still, with that said, you got Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. You think about how Cincinnati is playing and the talent that they have assembled on offense around Joe Burrow. I've talked about the Chargers getting in with Justin Herbert. They're going to be a dangerous team. Jacksonville, I think, is going to be playing with house money because I do think Jacksonville will take care of business tomorrow against Tennessee. You look at some of those other teams that are lurking around. You cannot forget about Kansas City. As long as you got Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, that team is always going to be formidable. Miami, obviously, the Dolphins, unfortunately, have fallen off of a cliff for a variety of reasons. But I look at the Steelers, and at the end of the day, this time of the year, you have to be able to run the ball and you have to play defense. And credit to TJ Watt. He's going out there and gutting it out. He's not 100% healthy. And you think about what he can do, one of the better edge rushers. Cam Hayward on that D line. I mean, Cam Hayward is a man. That's the only way to, sum up what Cam Hayward does on the gridiron. And then Minkah Fitzpatrick on that back line, holding it down in that secondary. And he's truly a free safety as that guy can go sideline to sideline. I like how Kenny Pickett is improving. And you watch the end of that Baltimore game from Sunday night. All of the questions about his hand size, he got it done, gloves or not, he got it done. And, Kenny Pickett, I think he's going to be one of those guys in a couple of years that people are going to look back and say, hey, you know what? The Steelers knew what they were doing taking this kid where they did. I think it was a smart job by them not starting him right away. More teams, I feel, need to do that with their rookie quarterbacks. And even though that Mitchell Trubisky did not light it up during the majority of his chances this season for the Steelers, it's still a scenario where, you know, Kenny Pickett got the opportunity to learn from somebody who's been there and done that. So I think the Steelers long term are definitely going to reap the rewards from that. Buffalo, it's going to be an interesting story because I really felt Buffalo was a lock prior to the Von Miller injury, and I think they are really going to miss Von Miller, excuse me, come postseason. But nonetheless, I really do think that the AFC playoffs are going to be a battle. And speaking of battles, you got the 4-12 Arizona Cardinals traveling to Santa Clara to take on the 12-4 San Francisco 49ers. Now, the Niners come into this game favored by 14 and a half, and they know what's ahead of them because now a win here by San Francisco, they get the 2 seed. But if San Francisco wins and Philly loses, San Francisco gets home field advantage. So they got plenty to play for. Debo Samuel is expected to be back for San Francisco in perfect timing because you look at this team right now, they appear to be clicking on all cylinders. And now you're going to have an opportunity to have George Kittle, Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and Christian McCaffrey all on the field at the same time. Good luck stopping that. Also, this Cardinals defense, last game of the stellar career of Justin James Watt. And you know what? I'm sure that the San Francisco organization will show him some love in this one. I'm sure the San Francisco players will definitely show JJ Watt some love. A lot of class right there by that man, and you wish him all the best in the next stage of his life. But when it's all said and done, I think San Francisco gets this one by the score of 31-17. Now in the Pacific Northwest, you got the 5-11 Los Angeles Rams clashing with the 8-8 Seattle Seahawks. And of course, Seattle is a tricky scenario. They're right in the mix. Like right now, they have the seventh spot, but they're not guaranteed to get that seventh spot depending on how things work out on Sunday. But I look at this Seahawks team, and if anybody had said at the beginning of the season that come week 18 that Seattle would have an opportunity to make the postseason, they would have looked at you and laughed. But credit to Pete Carroll with what he has done with this team. Geno Smith has had the best year of his NFL career, and these young Seahawks are coming. And of course, they're only going to get better due to the draft capital that they have from the Denver Broncos. I think Seattle takes care of their business in this contest, and I'm going to take the Seahawks at home by the score of 27-17. Now you're going to have the 12-4 Dallas Cowboys traveling to take on the 7-8-1 Washington Commanders. And by the kickoff of this contest, the Cowboys should know if they still have a chance to win the NFC East. Of course, that comes down to whether or not Philly is able to knock off the Giants. And oh, what a tale of a couple of weeks it's been for the Commanders. A couple of weeks ago, we looked like if we were going to see four teams, all four teams from the NFC East make the playoffs. But for Washington, they have fallen off of a cliff coming out of their bye. A lot of it is due to the inconsistency at the most important position on the football field, which is quarterback. A lot of questions going into the offseason for the Commanders from top to bottom, starting with whether or not this team is going to get sold. So we got to wait and see. But for Dallas, you definitely want to take care of your business and take advantage of the woes of the Commanders. I think Dallas does that. And at the very least, if they go into the postseason with some momentum, I'm going to take the Cowboys on the road in this one by the score of 27-16. And finally, on Sunday night, it's the 8-8 Detroit Lions taking on the 8-8 Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. And here's how it breaks down. Okay, you look at Detroit. Interesting scenario. If Seattle wins, Detroit's eliminated. They're not going to get that last spot due to the fact that the Seahawks went to Ford Field and knocked off the Lions earlier this season. But if Seattle loses, this is a playing game right here. So both teams have a lot at stake right here. You look at the way that the Packers are playing right now with quarterback Aaron Rodgers and the youngsters around Aaron Rodgers, the youngsters that he was chewing out in training camp in the first couple of weeks of the season. These kids are starting to figure it out. The Lions are one of those teams, kind of like the Seahawks. Most people did not expect them to be here. Obviously, the slow start really hindered them. They were 1-6, but credit to Dan Campbell and this team to continue to fight. It's going to be one of those scenarios. It's going to be cold weather, as always, which is expected this time of the year at Lambeau. 30 degrees at kickoff. The Lions are an indoor team. How will they respond to that? How will they respond to the primetime spotlight as well? While it's kind of like been there, done that for Aaron Rodgers. Not his best season, but at the end of the day, you want to be playing your best football in January, which is what Rodgers and the Packers are doing. And because of that, I'm going to take Green Bay at home on Sunday night by the score of 30-24. TFX, how are you doing? And Happy New Year to you. You're saying, I can't wait to watch that Lions Packers game. Want to hear your pick on this one. Well, you know what? I just gave it. Hope I want to see who you're going to pick. Please feel free to drop a comment in the box right there. And then you know what? Sunday night can't get here quick enough. But again, of course, we got a couple of good games on tap for tomorrow, as well as a slew of games on Sunday. So with that said, folks, okay, you're saying you saying I was afraid you were afraid I was going to say Packers, but you know what? At the end of the day, I'm not going to say that I don't bet against Aaron Rodgers in January because sometimes I do in the postseason, but nonetheless, going up against the Lions at home this time of the year. And it's one of those where, I know he's told the Bears fans a couple of years ago at Soldier Field, I still own you. For the most part, he can somewhat say that to the Lions, even though that Detroit did get Green Bay earlier this season. But nonetheless, it's a combination of things. I don't see the Lions winning this contest here. I think they're going to be game, but I'm not sure if they're going to be game enough to go up there to Lambeau and knock off A-Rod in the pack. So, with that said, folks, those are my picks for the final regular season weekend of this NFL season. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you wonderful folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, saying take care. Have yourselves a wonderful day and enjoy that NFL action this weekend. Be well, everybody.